Just give us a general overview of how you feel and what you've been able to do so far, or what you hope to do this week.
I felt good at practice yesterday. Got back in it a little bit. Threw a couple balls, a couple passes. It's just always good to get back in the flow of things and get back out there with my teammates. To be honest, I don't know. I think I have a big percentage of that decision, but I think overall, the coaches are going to have to watch the way I practice this week. Ultimately, they'll probably decide if they feel like I'm ready. If I can help this football team win this week.
Where are the doctors in all of this, or are you clear to go if everybody says go?
Yeah, I guess I'm clear. Obviously, I guess it really just has to go through the week without any excess soreness after throwing. That's the big deal. I have to be able to make it through a week, without taking any steps back. So, as long as that happens, then the doctors are fine.
How do you feel today after yesterday?
Feel good.
Sam, you want to play, obviously, against Texas. That's not a game that anybody wants to miss. How important is it for you to be back out there this week to play against Texas?
I think that definitely is important, and obviously that's something that I've talked to Coach Heupel about, and to get a game under my belt before Texas, would definitely be beneficial for me and for our offense.
So there is no chance that you won't come back. You definitely are going to play.
I don't know if I can give you a definite answer, but I do feel like right now, yes, I will be back at some point this year to play.
You've been cleared, but you can't commit to playing.
Correct, because it's still a process of seeing how it reacts to a full game week of preparation and the amount of throws that it takes to prepare for a game.
Sam, were you doing good early last week, and then it kind of got sore as the week went along, the more throwing you did?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It did get sore as the week went along. I think, the main thing is, by the end of the week, I just didn't feel comfortable with, the amount of preparation that I had. And I think our coaches will tell you the same thing. They just didn't feel comfortable with, the reps that I had been able to take and, the throws that I had been able to make last week. From everything that, I received from the doctors, it's just – it's like taking any other hit. I can't do much more damage. The odds of me hurting it now are just like the odds of me hurting it, before anything happened to it.
So when you're talking about throwing, obviously you have your regular throws where you use perfect form and things, but sometimes you have to run and do something else and throw. Do you have to find that out as well, or do you have to experiment with that a little bit to make sure the arm can handle that?
Yeah, I think that's part of the whole process is, being able to make all the throws. And, all the throws don't happen in the pocket. They happen, outside the pocket, off balance, where there's more stress put on your arm. So I think as the week goes along, I'm going to have to figure out, what throws I can and can't make.
Are you trying to duplicate some of that in practice? Or?
Yeah. We're just kind of working into it right now, but, I'm sure that is something that we'll get to later in the week.
Is there a chance, Sam, that you might have to eventually have surgery?
Yes, that is still a possibility.
You could play this year and then have it in the off season?
Correct.
Is there any way you wouldn't have to have it?
Yeah. I think, like I've said, it's just all a matter of how my arm reacts, to the amount of throws that I have and, to the stress that, going through a season puts on it.
Is that one of the reasons that you feel you can't completely commit to definitely playing because it might be a surgery earlier, so you'd be ready earlier?
Exactly. From everything, all the doctors that I've talked to, it's all a matter of how my arm reacts. And until I get out there, until I practice, until I make, all the throws, until I play in a game, I'm not going to know. And no one's going to know.
Sam, they tell us that you might have a pretty bright future in pro football. So how much of a concern is that for you and your family right now, that you're talking about surgery?
Obviously, that's a concern, and it's something that I've talked to my family about, and I've talked to our coaches about, and we've talked to the doctors about. But I still think that's down the road, and obviously it is a concern. But I'm focused on trying to get back out there and help my team this year.
When you hear from the peanut gallery of sorts that he should have gone to the NFL before, whatever, is that just sort of silly talk to you? I get the impression that you knew you wanted to come back, and that's the end of it. There was no sort of if this happens, then it was a bad decision.
Yeah, obviously, I knew that this was a possibility. I knew from day one that coming back and playing another year, there was a possibility of getting hurt. But I felt like the benefits of coming back and going through another year of college, I felt like they outweighed the risk of coming back, and getting hurt. So I still feel like I made the right decision. There's no looking back on it now. I can't change that decision. So there's really no reason to look back and second guess myself now.
People who would say there's just a dollars and cents decision, would you say that's not even, that's only a fraction of the decision?
Yeah, money's not everything. Obviously I think some people, they think it is, but, to me there were a lot more things. I dreamed about, coming to Oklahoma and playing football. We didn't have a pro team in Oklahoma, so, this was like my pro team. This is who I wanted to play for, and, my experience here has been, unbelievable. And, I felt like coming back and adding to that experience, would be a great thing for me.
I mentioned that Texas game. What was it like for you Saturday night watching that Miami game in street clothes? To have to go to Miami and not get to play. Was that killing you?
I think the past 3 or 4 weeks have probably been, the toughest 3 or 4 weeks I've had in a long time. Just the amount of preparation and the time spent, preparing for the season, not being able to be out there with my teammates, and especially in a game like that, a big game on a national stage, it's really tough. I think any competitor, it's not a good feeling.
Seems like 5 months or 5 weeks later, there's still a little bit of indecision about or uncertainty about your shoulder and whether you can play or you'll need surgery. How frustrating is that you come this far and it's still kind of a wait-and-see thing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most frustrating things about it too is, there's not a definite timeline. From the beginning, it's always been, a matter of, when it's healthy and how it reacts. And that's extremely frustrating, If someone were to tell me, hey, it's going to be 6 weeks, but after the 6 weeks, you're going to be as good as new and you can play, sometimes I think that's better than sitting there and saying, well, you could be back in 3 weeks, you could be back in 4 weeks. It's just a matter. And, so kind of going through that whole process has been really frustrating.
Sam, one of the major reasons you came back, you wanted to win a national championship. That's gone now. So I think any objective Sooner fan would understand if you said, I'm not going to play anymore this year. So why come back? Why even endanger yourself? You've won Big 12 titles.
Yeah, well, you say the national championship's out of the picture, but, what happens if we win 9 straight games and we win the Big 12? There's still a possibility. To win another Big 12 championship, become the first team to win 4 straight Big 12 championships. I still think there's a lot in front of this team. And, I think it would be extremely selfish for me to say, the possibility of a national championship is slim now, so, why come back? I've spent so many hours with these guys, and, for me to say, even think about something like that, I think is just extremely selfish.
Tuesday and Wednesdays are the biggest days of practice for you guys. How important are these next 2 days? And is there a set day this week that you will say, I'm going to play, I'm not?
I think these next 2 days are important just for the fact that, this is when we get the most work against our defense. And, during those periods, that's as close to a game-like situation as we get. And, obviously me not playing in a game in a couple weeks is going to be important for me to get those reps. But, I don't know as far as a day. I think that's up to our coaches. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Thursday or Friday.
You talked about knowing or reacting, or how your arm would react to situations. Obviously, a game is going to be different than practice. What's the likelihood in your mind of maybe playing this weekend, reacting poorly to that, and then having to sit out for an extended period of time after that?
I don't know. I can't tell you that. I haven't gone through this before. I haven't played in a game yet. I don't know how it is going to react. I just really can't answer that question.